Alright, so today we're going to be talking about what would happen if the big blue Boy Scout turned to chaos. Now, this was requested by Z71. In fact, Z71 said he created a Discord just to make this request. And I don't blame him. This is Majorkill, and one, I'm going to love the way he explains things because, let's face it, it's me. I like Majorkill stuff. But secondly, it's going to be going over a fan fiction. Similar to the Dornian Heresy, things like that. Similar to other projects that I really, really enjoy. And it's basically just lore crafting on a wide scale. But we're going to get into this. We already know we're going to enjoy it. What else is there to say? Let's go.
G'day guys and gal. The Horus Heresy is the creme de la creme of Warhammer lore. Hundreds of compelling characters, dozens of awesome moments, and various well thought out and engaging conflicts and battles. It was very well written, but not perfect.
No.
Some Primarch motivations were a bit strange. Others had their entire personalities and motivations flipped around just because the plot demanded it. As such, a few of the brave souls in the Warhammer community that have a lot of spare time have rewritten Heresy, but with some minor changes that cause the mother of all butterfly effects. We've already had a look at the OG alternate heresy, the Dornian heresy, and whilst that was good, it suffered from a lot of the same issues as the original canon heresy, that being that they didn't really know how to make some Primarchs turn against the Emperors.
And see, this was very similar to, oh my god, I'm going to kick myself. I am going to 40K Theory's entire heresy series where he flipped the Primarchs on their head. This is very similar to that vein, and it's difficult to get some of the motivations intact for that.
So some of the motivations are a bit questionable.
Right.
The Roboutian heresy, where all the loyalists become traitors and vice versa, as well as Guilliman being the arch heretic, fixes a lot of these writing issues, and in my opinion, is the best alternative heresy, with the character motivations and plot points being super interesting and believable. After all, it would take one hell of a writer to justify Rogal Dorn, Sanguinius, or Guilliman's betrayal, so it's a good thing that one hell of a writer gave it a shot. Before we get started, Manscaped. We all know them, I love them, and judging by the fact that they keep giving me a pay raise, we can safely assume a lot of you guys do as well.
Information on how to shave your balls with Manscaped will be down in the description below, including his promo. So, by all means, gentlemen, shave your balls.
We all know them mainly because of the lawnmower, a nifty little device that you can rub on your balls without getting nicked or cut. Meow. Then there is the ball deodorant, which literally deletes stanky dick. Like, it's literally voodoo, it's amazing. Both these products I use on the daily are in the Performance Package bundle, but I have something extra special today. The new collection of anti-chafing and genuinely well-made boxes. These are my go-tos, especially when I'm getting sweaty with other men. In jiu-jitsu, of course. They don't chafe, they don't dig in, they don't have an annoying tag at the back, and they also do a good job of holding in the family jewels while still being breathable.
Why are you doing this, Majorkill?
Dope. So to get those bad boys, as well as literally any other Manscaped product for 20% off and free international shipping, use my linking code Majorkill below. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over the Roboutian Heresy, pointing out the differences made from the main canon heresy and how that affected Primarchs in the new setting. The Roboutian Heresy is very deep and extensive, having over 75 pages of lore. So I'll instead be focusing on the fun key points and not stuff like how Sanguinius only goes down on his girlfriend during her special time of the month.
Oh man.
Let's get into it. This alternative heresy kicks off with an Ultramarine fighting a Greater Demon of Change. As the Ultramarine impales the Greater Demon, invoking his Primarch's name, the Greater Demon decides to fuck with him by showing him the Roboutian alternative heresy. Classic tit snitch. As a result of this change, everyone's future predictions become really funky. A lot of people foresaw the Horus Heresy in this alternative timeline, however their visions would become useless as the opposite would occur. Only a few future seers were able to make readjustments in time, hence the Roboutian Heresy is much more volatile, with a lot less things set in stone. In canon, nearly every traitor Primarch has a clear flaw in their upbringing which caused them to turn to chaos, whilst nearly every loyalist has a clear saving grace in their upbringing which has kept them out of the naughty corner. The Roboutian heresy starts by flipping this on its head. hence making everyone's character motivations much more believable than just, Sanguinius got really horny, so he's now a demon prince of Slanesh. For the canonically traitor side, Magnus was more accepted and appreciated by his brothers. He was able to use his knowledge of the warp to help safeguard some of his brothers from chaos. For example, due to him being closer to Fulgrim, he was able to sense the layer blade and prevent Fulgrim from shoving it down his dick hole. No layer blade means no Chaos Fulgrim, simple as that.
Yep.
Also, Magnus was forced to deal with a significant threat without the use of his warp powers. This was a decisive lesson for him, as it showed him that he was more than just a magician. When Conrad landed at Nostramo, he was adopted by a woman and raised with good morals and ethics. This, combined with his strong sense of justice, turned him into a guardian of the vulnerable, not just some twisted executioner. Eldrad was able to prevent the Elder strike team from attacking Angron, due to him sensing the changes in the tides of the future. As such, Angron wasn't weakened by the Elder attack, hence didn't get captured by the High Riders, who would go on to ruin his life via implantation of the Butcher's Nails.
Right.
Hence, Angron grew up with a lot of empathy and strong morals of honor. After all, in canon, Angron was a psychic empath before the nails ruined everything, so this isn't a stretch at all. Morty was allowed to conquer his planet on his own terms before the Emperor arrived, hence he harbored no resentment towards his father like he does in canon. Lorgar was adopted by a kind couple who had lost their previous son in a holy war. They were declared heretics and treated poorly, hence when Lorgar was exposed to religion, he had already had a bad experience with it and he rejected it outright, becoming a hardline atheist, which was what the Emperor originally planned for him. After all, the Wordbearers were designed to spread the Imperial truth due to their charisma.
Right.
With no Corfarion gaslighting and manipulating him, Lorgar was able to see and think clearly. Perturabo's father died a lot earlier, meaning Purdy had his breakdown a lot earlier. This was good, as it allowed Purdy to face his internal bitterness and resentment at a point in his life where the galaxy wasn't shitting itself. As such, when Purdy entered the Great Crusade, he was sure of himself.
This does sound very well thought out.
And much more liked by his brothers. Alpharis and Amegan became friends with the much more likable Conrad. As such, Conrad is able to tell them to stop being such random, mysterious dicks about everything. He said, "Oi, life isn't a fucking Rubik's Cube you can join, fuckheads." This resulted in them being much more decisive and straightforward, rather than the extremely confusing Legion we have in canon.
Right.
These are all relatively minor changes that significantly alter the course of the Heresy. A different adoptive parent here, a different decision there. For the canonically loyalist side who become traitors in this setting, here is what happened with their upbringings.
Okay.
The Lion was more deeply affected by the Chaos Beasts on Caliban. Whilst he still slew them and resisted them, the exposure to them left a small taint on his soul, which would slowly grow. Leman Russ's slaughtering of the two lost Primarchs had a much more profound effect on him, making him more ruthless, vicious, and paranoid. Rogel's mini-empire had been hit very hard by the Orcs, flaring that deep rage within him a lot earlier than we see in canon. Vulcan discovered that he was a perpetual much earlier on, giving him a godlike superiority complex as he realized he was basically unkillable.
Right.
Corvus Corax was unable to escape from the minds of his prison world like in canon. Instead, he was discovered and heavily experimented on, causing his sanity to be a bit cooked by the time the Emperor discovered him. As such, his first conversation with the Emperor, which in canon permanently cemented his loyalty, went really poorly. Ferris had the same origins. His fall to chaos came much later on, which I'll explain when we get there.
Okay, let's go.
Sanguinius is in the same boat, having the same origins, except being slightly more paranoid about his legion's gene flaws, and being a bit more desperate to fix them, resulting in a decision that would cuck him in the future. Jagged-Eye was caught in a warp anomaly that kept him sidelined for most of the Heresy, but did result in demonic possession. Guilliman's fall was pretty intricate. When the Chaos Gods realized that the Heresy would not play out the way they originally thought it would, they got Be'lakor to go fuck with G-Man, tormenting him by killing those he loved. Be'lakor baited Guilliman to the Eye of Terra, causing G-Man to basically go full Arthas mode. If you haven't played Warcraft 3, which the writer of the Roboutian Heresy most certainly has, a Dreadlord attacks humanity and causes obscene destruction. The noble but overzealous Arthas follows the Dreadlord to the frozen wastes, suffering a lot of attrition with his army. He finally allows himself to be corrupted to gain the power he needs to vanquish the foe. Guilliman basically follows this exact path, including to the last moment where Be'lakor / the Dreadlord are gloating that they have finally corrupted Arthas / Guilliman, only for the fallen champion to slay them on the spot and take control of the forces of evil. So it was a combination of Be'lakor's torment, Guilliman's exposure to the corrupting forces of the Eye of Terra, his own arrogance in believing that he could overcome the warp and use it for mankind's good, and Warcraft 3 that turned G-Men into the arch-heretic.
Nice.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. The Great Crusade happened with not too many big differences. The new personality traits and quirks brought upon by the new Primarch origins not been enough to dramatically affect the Crusade's progress. Something that was quite different, however, was due to Magnus not being a fuckwit, the Emperor allowed him to come with him to Terra to help him with his Webway project.
That makes sense.
He also chose Perturabo to be the Praetorian of Terra, and to be the one to help build the Imperial Palace's defences. This was due to the fact that Perty wasn't a bitter little shit who internalized his loathing of siege warfare, and instead was open about his willingness to build rather than destroy.
Right.
That plus the fact that Rogel was an angry little shit made Perty the better option. All in all would happen the same, with the Orcs being crushed and Horus being raised to War Master, igniting the jealousy of Guilliman, the Lion, and Rogel. Conrad would witness the horrific war crimes and destruction caused by the Salamander's love of fire, as well as the Rage of Dawn. He would be very disturbed by both, nearly killing Dawn after the Big Dawn killed thousands of civilians. The Council of Nicaea would still be called into session to determine the fate of the Librarius, with Lehman being very outspoken against Psykers, whilst Magnus was obviously for it. However, due to Magnus's restraint and respect, he wouldn't make an unhinged rant like he did in canon. Lehman, on the other hand, being more unhinged, would, resulting in the Council favouring Magnus and the Librarius, whilst further isolating and enraging Russ. Guilliman would fall to Chaos as I described earlier, and begin turning his brothers to the side of Chaos as well. Sanguinius' fall would match canon pretty closely. Guilliman would send him to Cygnus Prime to uncover a cure for the Red Thirst. There, Sanguinius would be tempted by Charis to embrace Chaos to cure his sons. Miros would protest, like in canon, but get cut down by the other angels. Sanguinius would embrace the power of Slaanesh, which would overcome the berserk nature that the Red Thirst and the Black Rage brought on. Despite being cured of the Rage, the power of Slaanesh made drinking blood an incredibly orgasmic experience, making all the Blood Angels a bunch of vampires from True Blood. Ferris would get slapped around by a warp storm, resulting in him getting ambushed by the forces of Nurgle. After fighting them off and retreating, it was revealed that he and his legion had been infected by Nurgle's rot. As he didn't really believe in Psykers, he didn't have the librarians he needed to cure him or fight off the infection, hence he became desperate. Guilliman told him that the Emperor had the cure in the Imperial Palace, but would burn Ferris before he handed it over to him. In desperation for a cure, Ferris joined Guilliman. Funnily enough, the only part of Ferris that was unafflicted by the rot was his necrodermis hands. In a fit of rage, Lehman had attacked the barely defended Prospero, as Magnus was on Terra, burning the world and slaughtering its people. This act caused a massive psychic backlash, breaking open the Emperor's Webway project and confining him to the Golden Throne to keep it secure. After his rage, Lehman realised he had gone too far, and that the Emperor would cast him out and kill him. Guilliman then approached Lehman and said that if he joined his cause, all would be forgiven. Kinda like how it went down with Perturabo in canon. Meanwhile, Fulgrim and his legion were pulled into the Webway by a Dark Elder ambush, who believed Fulgrim would become a servant of Slaanesh due to their inaccurate future readings. Hence he was knocked out of the game, and wasn't there for Ferris when Ferris needed him most. The Lion, Corvus, and Vulcan also joined Guilliman's cause, as a result of Chaos exploiting their original defects. Kairos Fateweaver was able to convert the Lion by tapping into the taint in his soul. Corvus was already fucked in the head and was low-key obsessed with the warp, and Vulcan was a prideful dick. Jagadai Khan also joined, but due to his warp anomaly situation, couldn't be there in person for most of it. During his meeting with the Interrex, which happened in canon, Horus was wounded with a Chaos Knife wielded by a Dark Angel's assassin. He falls into this Chaos-induced coma as his soul begins
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
dying, just like canon. However, due to the Thousand Sons being on hand, as well as the Interrex and the Imperium not going to war, the Interrex and Thousand Sons are able to cure Horus and keep him loyal. Guilliman declares jihad on the Emperor, and the Istvan Dropsite Massacre occurs, with the Night Lords, Alpha Legion, and Death Guard being the three loyalist legions, going up against Guilliman, Ferris, and Rogel. It goes a similar way to canon. very bloody. The Dark Angels, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and White Scars join as backup for the Loyalists, but we all know what is about to happen.
Yeah.
The 3 Loyalist legions are betrayed and gunned down by their supposed reinforcements. Conrad engages Vulcan in battle, killing the Fire Lord multiple times to no avail, as his perpetual powers keep him alive. Vulcan then kills Conrad. Alfarius fakes his death to escape, while Servitor and Mortarion are able to escape back to Terra. As the Night Lords and Alpha Legion are experts of guerrilla warfare, they fare a lot better than the Canon Loyalists in terms of survival and counterattacks.
Right.
Conrad had predicted something horrible was going to happen on Istvan, hence he had only brought a small portion of the Night Lords.
Good.
The rest had been split into dozens of warbands that had the sole mission of causing extreme havoc and sabotage to the enemy forces.
I love it.
Lorgar and Angron go to Ultramar to try purge it and take out the traitors' home base. However, Guilliman expected this and activated the Ruin Storm, trapping the 2 Loyalist legions within Ultramar. Hence, when Guilliman attacks Terra, the Loyalists only have the Sons of Horus, the Iron Warriors, some Death Guard, and Thousand Sun survivors. Horus and Sanguinius clash. Horus gets the upper hand, but in a moment of weakness, hesitates, allowing Sanguinius to go full rape vampire on him and kill him. In revenge, the Mournveal, consisting of Abaddon, Garviel Loken, and 2 other badasses, fight Sanguinius, banishing him at a great cost. To taunt the Sons of Horus,
Really?
the Slaneshi slut Blood Angels drag Horus's body away to violate. It was a pretty grim scene. Whilst all this had been happening, Eldrad, Amegon, and Alanis Pius had gone on a quest to free Fulgrim from the Dark Elder so that he could save the day. They succeeded, hence all at once, the Alpha Legion, Night Lords, and Emperor's Children arrive on Terra to attack the traitors' flank. Angron and Lorgar were also soon to arrive after escaping the Ruin Storm. Ferris holds the traitors' backline, whilst Guilliman, the Lion, and Rogel charge into the palace to kill the Emperor. Due to how intricate the defenses of the Imperial Palace were due to Perturabo's genius, the traitor Primarchs are separated. Magnus faces the Lion and banishes him to the Warp, whilst Perty and Rogel start beating the living shit out of each other. Guilliman faces his father and the 2 fight. Unlike Canon Horus, who was a wounded chaotic meat sack, Guilliman was a beast, having dominated the chaos within him to become a single-minded slaughterhouse. He got the upper hand, but before he could strike and kill his father, Fulgrim appeared and stabbed Guilliman in the back, allowing the Emperor to come blast his soul, killing him. The Emperor had taken a hell of a beating though, hence he was put into stasis on the Golden Throne by Perturabo whilst the traitors were routed from Terra. Jagadai was also killed by Mortarion during the siege. The traitors were pushed back to the Eye of Terror as well as the now tainted Ultramar, being hunted and purged as they did so. Sanguinius had a mental breakdown, reimagining the Heresy except with him as the good guy. He used Horus's body to try clone him so that they could be friends again. Ferris's body was rotting so badly. He prayed for his hands to fall off so he could forget what he used to be like, so he wouldn't be reminded about how far he had fallen. As he never really embraced Nurgle, he continued to rot and suffer. Rogel became a demon prince after the rage he felt from Perty beating his ass at the Iron Cage. Sigismund would fill the role of Khan, breaking the Imperial Fist Legion and founding his own warband called the Black Templars, who were equally as crazy as their lawless counterparts in canon, just with a different god. Vulcan would ascend to become a big-ass fucking demon dragon, killing Mortarion, however never really feeling the need to leave his homeworld. Alfarius died during the Heresy, with Amegon taking up his mantle and working to defeat Chaos. Eventually, each Loyalist Primarch would vanish, as each traitor Primarch would then pursue their own devices. This Heresy resulted in 2 dead traitor Primarchs and 4 dead Loyalists, whereas canon only had 2, maybe 3 dead Loyalists with 3 dead traitors. On top of that, Ultramar became a Chaos Haven, making their power and influence much greater than in canon. So overall, Guilliman as the arch-traitor was noticeably deadlier for the Imperium than Horus. Like I said, there is a shitload of lore here, stuff like Corvus tapping into the Deep Warp and becoming a Cthulhu-looking motherfucker, or what was actually happening with Jagadai, but I'll save the 2-hour videos to the nerds in the back. We like hard and fast over here at Majorkill. I'll link the Roboutian Heresy in the description if you want to go through the whole thing yourself.
It'll be in the
If you
description
enjoyed the
down
video
below.
and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of rub me off, gull my man hentai. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more.
I could have gone all day without saying that. I could have gone all week without saying that, all month without saying that. In any case, one of the great things about theory crafting is you get to fill in holes that or change events, alter things, make things make things more to your liking. That's what theory crafting, you know, on a large scale does. I love alternate history for that. I love any kind of theory crafting that involves, you know, just changing one or two details to completely alter everything. I don't have time to sit down and read anything anymore. It's just a pain. It's just like a fact of life for me right now. But if I do one of these days, aside from reading Super Saiyan Diclonius' horrific, and I mean absolutely horrific fanfics, they're terrifying. But aside from reading those, I haven't really been able to read anything except a couple of things that Arco has written. And hopefully, at the end of next month, I'll be getting the next of the Siege of Terra books, and I will be taking a couple of days just to listen to that. In any case, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Everything of Majorkill is going to be in the description down below, including the Manscaped, both his Patreon, where you can get hentai, and then the Manscaped so you can shave your balls. Do with that what you will. Stop thinking slashy thoughts. Fucking heretics. In any case, if you'd like to support me on my channel, I have a Patreon down below. Thank you guys so for some. I even missed the button.